Hey my friend, come, sit with me for a minute. I want to share something that's been weighing on my heart, something I've wrestled with for years. Have you ever had that feeling, deep in your gut, like a quiet, persistent hum, that the world they sold you isn't the real deal? That feeling that the rulebook they handed you in school, the limits your well-meaning family drew around you, and the whole story about who you're supposed to be. It all feels like a grand, collective dream designed to keep your true power dormant. If that thought sends a shiver of recognition down your spine, then listen closely, because that's not just a random thought. That's your soul stirring. That's the first sign of your awakening. For the longest time, I bought into it too. I walked through life accepting the stories I was fed, just like everyone else. And the biggest, most pervasive, and most comforting lie they whispered into my spirit, and probably into yours, is that we are all created equal. Now, hold on. Before you misunderstand me, this isn't about politics or social justice. This is about divine energy. It's about your unique spiritual blueprint. To believe in that grand, flattening idea of equality is to deny the magnificent, singular fire that exists only within you. It's to ignore the undeniable truth I've seen play out time and time again. Some souls are born into this world like supernovas, destined to reshape nations and bend the very arc of history, while other beautiful souls struggle just to keep their heads above water in the currents of their own lives. I've been in rooms where certain people walk in, and it's like the very frequency of the space shifts to accommodate them. Their presence, their aura, is a silent, powerful testament to their inner sovereignty. And then, I've seen others, good-hearted people, who move through the world as if they need to apologize for the very air they breathe, their energy field contracted in a state of perpetual deference. This isn't a judgment, my friend. It's an observation of a fundamental, universal law. And I believe the time has come for us to peel back this veil of illusion together. Because there is a hidden knowledge, a set of sacred principles that have been understood and wielded by the most formidable figures all through history. It was that controversial thinker, Machiavelli, who first dared to write down these truths, to map out the 7 psychological pillars of power that history's most sovereign men have used to command their reality. These are the very principles that allowed a man like Caesar to command not just armies, but the very heart and soul of Rome. They are the same currents of energy that Napoleon Bonaparte, a man from nothing, mastered to rise from obscurity and carve an entire empire across the face of Europe. These truths, I've found, are so potent, so completely contrary to the comfortable fictions we're told to live by, that modern society has tried to bury them, to label them as dark or incorrect. But here's the secret: they aren't dark. They are simply instruments of power, and power itself is as neutral as a hammer. It's the intention in the hand that wields it that gives it its color. So today, I want us to unearth these forbidden truths together. I want you to see why the meek and the nice don't just finish last. They often finish forgotten, their divine potential unrealized, their life song left unsung. We're going to explore the 7 sacred pieces of this cosmic puzzle, 7 traits that, when you understand and integrate them, can help you create your own masterpiece, a life of profound power and purpose. If any of this is resonating with that deep place inside you, do me a favor. Go to the comments and just write, "I am awake." It's a declaration for yourself. Like this video, subscribe if you feel the call, and please share this with another soul who you think is ready to hear this message. Your energy, your engagement, it sends a ripple of light out, signaling that more of us are ready to reclaim our sovereign power. The very first, the most foundational of these sacred traits, is the cultivation of what I call a magnetic presence. And I'm not talking about that slick, superficial charm or fleeting charisma you see on television. I'm talking about the very energy, the raw frequency you emit into the world before you even open your mouth. Picture this. Have you ever seen it? A man walks into a crowded, noisy hall. He doesn't need to announce his arrival. He isn't wearing a crown or carrying some symbol of authority, but an invisible shift happens. It's almost audible, the way the buzz of conversations just quiets, heads turn, and a palpable, almost heavy sense of authority settles over the entire room. Everyone, on a subconscious, energetic level, feels his presence. They feel his authority. That, my friend, is the power we're talking about. It's an aura, a tangible force of personality that acts like a gravitational center, drawing people, opportunities, and respect directly into its orbit. This isn't some kind of hocus-pocus magic. It's the conscious mastery of non-verbal communication, which is the true language of the soul. The most dominant men I've ever studied, from ancient pharaohs to modern titans of industry, all intuitively knew this one thing. The vast majority of our communication isn't what we say, it's the energy, the feeling behind what we say. They understood that their posture, the intensity of their gaze, the very way they occupied physical space, was a constant, silent broadcast of their inner state. They mastered their physical vessel to be a perfect reflection of their inner sovereignty. Think about their posture for a second. Shoulders held back, not with a puffed-up arrogance, but with the quiet, unshakable confidence of someone who carries their own world within them. Their head is held high, a beacon of self-assurance. And their eyes scan the room not with the darting nervousness of the insecure, but with a calm, penetrating confidence that seems to see beyond the surface, acknowledging every other soul in the space, while remaining completely anchored in their own center. They move with an undeniable purpose. Every single step is deliberate. Every gesture is controlled and meaningful. In their stance and in their stride, you can't help but sense a deep, deep well of composure and self-assurance. This magnetic presence, this personal gravity, it doesn't come from being 6'5" or having movie star looks. I've seen it in short men, in plain-looking women. It's born from a blend of profound inner charisma and an unwavering, focused intention. When you decide to cultivate this presence, you have to begin by aligning your inner world with your outer world. When you speak, let your words be carried on a powerful current of clarity and deep conviction. There can be no wavering, no hint of uncertainty in your tone. And when you listen, and this is a big one, you must do so with your entire being. Give the person before you the sacred gift of your full, undivided attention. The most powerful people I've known have this incredible ability to make you feel like you are the only person in the universe at that moment, as if nothing else exists beyond that sacred exchange. This genuine, focused engagement creates a powerful emotional and energetic pull. People find themselves instinctively leaning in, their souls eager to connect, to follow the lead of someone so incredibly present and centered. That old philosopher, Machiavelli, he understood the profound value of appearances and perception. In his eyes, the truly powerful man must do everything to appear powerful. He even argued that it's more important to project confidence than it is to actually feel it in the moment, because it's the perception of others that ultimately shapes your reality. Your magnetic presence is the art of this perception made real. It is your personal gravity. So, how do you cultivate it? It's simpler than you think. Begin today, right now. Stand a little taller. Consciously pull your shoulders back and open your heart center. Speak a little more slowly, allowing your words to have weight and significance. And just let an inner calm, a sense of unshakable peace, begin to radiate outward from your core. I promise you, over time, you will transform. You will become the person who doesn't need to shout to be heard, who doesn't need to demand attention, because attention, respect, and influence will start to voluntarily and naturally flow to you. This commanding presence draws people in, establishing you as a leader, a point of stability and strength, long before you ever need to open your mouth to prove it. This is the first, and most crucial, key. Now, once you've captured the world's attention with that magnetic presence, you have to know what to do with it, right? And that, my friend, brings us to the second sacred trait, mastering the art of power. I need you to understand a fundamental truth that took me years to fully grasp. Power is a game. It's a great cosmic dance that's as old as humanity itself. And it's being played out everywhere, all the time, in boardrooms, in bedrooms, in governments, and in every single one of our human interactions. Those who take the time to master its unwritten rules, its subtle energies, and its timeless strategies will inevitably, without fail, rise above those who just stumble through it, getting tossed about by its currents, completely unaware of the forces at play. To master the art of power, you absolutely must first learn to think like a strategist. You have to become the architect of your reality, not just a passive reactor to it. That cunning old fox from Florence, Machiavelli, he insisted on the absolute necessity of seeing the world exactly as it is, not as we wish it would be. Honestly, this is a crucial spiritual discipline in itself. It requires you to strip away all the veils of sentimentality, of idealism, of wishful thinking, and to just gaze upon the raw, unfiltered nature of human dynamics. You have to understand that people, at their deepest core, are almost always driven by their own self-interest. You have to accept the often painful truth that alliances can shift like desert sands in the wind, and that loyalties are, more often than not, only skin deep. But here's the thing, the dominant man, the sovereign soul, doesn't cry about this reality. He doesn't lament it. He grasps it, he understands it, and he uses that understanding to play the long game. So, the first step in this mastery is to become a dedicated student, an absolute expert in human nature. Watch people, observe what truly motivates them, what secret fears drive them, what deep desires pull them forward. Understand what motivates your allies, and, just as importantly, what keeps your potential rivals in check. The Machiavellian philosophy teaches that an effective leader, an effective wielder of power, must embody the dual nature of the lion and the fox. Think about that. You must have the heart of a lion, bold, strong, and unyielding when you're confronting your enemies and your obstacles. Yet, you must also possess the mind of a fox, cunning, adaptable, and perpetually alert to the hidden traps and subtle deceptions that will inevitably line your path. It's really no coincidence that modern psychology often defines Machiavellian tendencies by this very combination. Strategic manipulation, a degree of emotional detachment that allows for crystal clear judgment, and a talent for building and dissolving alliances as needed. You must always be planning 2, 3, even 10 steps ahead. Learn to read the subtle energetic currents in a room. Who holds the real influence here? Who truly wants what? Where are the unspoken threats hiding? A true master of power is neither naive nor needlessly cruel. He understands that power unused is power wasted, but that power misused is power lost forever. He learns to wield his influence with a light, almost invisible touch, knowing precisely when to charm and persuade, and exactly when to intimidate and apply pressure. He builds useful, strategic alliances, and, crucially, he knows when their purpose has been served, and it's time to let them go without emotion. He rewards loyalty with immense generosity, but he does not shy away from punishing betrayal swiftly and decisively. It's like you have to think of yourself as a chess grandmaster, silently mapping out the entire board, seeing the cascade of consequences that will follow every single move. Every piece on your board, every person, every resource, every action has to serve a calculated purpose. That's you, when you begin to treat life's interactions with the same strategic mindset. Don't just react to the game of power as it's presented to you. Learn to write the rules yourself. And understand this deeper truth. In the grand cosmic scheme of things, everything is just a flow of influence, a flow of energy. When you master this flow, you gain an almost unfair advantage over all those people who are living in a fog of pure impulse and ignorance. Knowing the game of power means seeing reality with cold, hard clarity, and then acting with calculated, purposeful intent. Now, this next trait is one that our modern, comfortable society often flinches from, and to be honest, it took me a long time to come to terms with it myself. Yet, it's utterly essential. It is the capacity to be ruthless when it matters. This might not be a pretty concept, and it probably doesn't align with the comforting stories we like to tell ourselves, but it is a fundamental truth in the architecture of power. The most dominant men in history, without a single exception, carried within them a streak of cold, hard ruthlessness. It was like a sharp, cold-edged blade they could unsheathe in an instant when the moment demanded it, when there was absolutely no longer any room for mercy or hesitation. But let's be crystal clear about this. Being ruthless, in this sacred, strategic sense, does not mean being cruel for cruelty's sake. It does not mean bullying the weak or taking some kind of sick pleasure in the suffering of others. That is the path of the tyrant, my friend, the path of a low-vibration soul. True, strategic ruthlessness means having the profound courage and the ice-cold clarity to make the hard, necessary decisions when the stakes are sky-high, and when misguided kindness or sentimentality would lead to your own self-destruction, or the failure of a mission that's bigger than you. Think about a general on the battlefield. He has to send his troops into a fight, knowing full well that some of them, men he cares for, will not return. He does this not because he's heartless, but because the alternative losing, the worries, a far, far greater catastrophe for everyone. Or think about a CEO who has to cut an entire failing division of a company. It causes immediate, real pain to some, but it's done to save the entire company and the livelihoods of thousands more. These decisions are harsh, and they can be absolutely heartbreaking. I know, but the dominant leader, the sovereign soul, steels himself to make them. Machiavelli put it very plainly when he argued that it is far safer for a leader to be feared than to be loved. And why is that? Because love, as he saw it, is a bond of obligation that people, being fickle creatures, will break whenever it serves their own interest. But fear, the fear of swift and certain consequences, is a constant and reliable motivator. This is exactly why the nice guy, the one who is terrified to set boundaries, to make the tough calls, to be the bad guy, when necessary, will always be walked all over. His kindness, because it's unbacked by strength, is perceived by the world as weakness. Ruthlessness, in the Machiavellian sense, is really about decisiveness and a fierce commitment to realism. It's about having the spiritual spine to enforce your boundaries, to eliminate threats to your mission swiftly and completely. When you identify a person or a situation that is jeopardizing your goals or poisoning your life with their toxic energy, you must have the will to cut it out. Not halfway, not eventually when it feels more comfortable, but immediately and without a single apology. Because I'm telling you, hesitation at the wrong moment, a moment of weakness when unyielding strength is required, can and will cost you everything down the line. This trait is a stark reminder that true dominance isn't all inspirational speeches and warm handshakes. Sometimes it's a grim, steely look in your eye. Sometimes it's a firm and final no. And sometimes it's a tough, lonely call that others, trapped in their desperate need for approval, just can't bring themselves to make. The line between a leader who prevails and one who perishes so often comes down to this: the willingness to act without flinching when it truly, deeply matters. But always remember this, my friend. Ruthlessness is a tool, not a way of life. It is the surgeon's scalpel, not the butcher's cleaver. You must learn to wield it surgically, with precision, not recklessly. It is the iron in your spine that only shows itself when softness would mean certain defeat. If you look beyond the clash of swords and the messy politics of throne rooms, you'll find a deeper, more profound force that was driving every single one of history's most dominant figures. This brings us to our fourth sacred trait, and it's the one that gives all the others meaning: seeking a deep purpose and a lasting legacy. This is the soul-level motivator. This is the why that fuels the how. Let's be real. Power for power's sake, conquest just for the sake of conquest. These are the empty pursuits of empty men, and they ring completely hollow through the halls of time. The truly great men, the souls who left a permanent, indelible mark on this world, were always, without exception, fueled by something much, much larger than themselves. They were driven by a vision, by a belief, by a sacred purpose that transcended their own personal gain, their own comfort, and sometimes even their own lives. For one, it could be the unification of a scattered and broken people. For another, it might be the spreading of a revolutionary idea that changes how we think. For another, it could be the building of an empire that's designed to stand the test of time. Whatever it was, this higher purpose gave them an unwavering North Star, a focal point of such intense, burning clarity that it guided their every single action and decision. I've come to see that a deep sense of purpose is like rocket fuel for dominance. When you have a grand mission, a reason for being that resonates with the very core of your soul, setbacks don't break you, they forge you. Every challenge becomes just another step in a meaningful journey, rather than a frustrating brick wall. Every failure is transmuted into a powerful lesson. Every sacrifice an investment in the future that you are consciously building. There's a vast and telling difference, isn't there, between a mercenary and a crusader. The mercenary fights for pay, for temporary, personal gain. The crusader, on the other hand, fights for a cause, for a belief that is burned into the very fabric of his heart. So when the battle gets bloody and the odds seem absolutely insurmountable, who do you think is going to be the one to storm that hill against all hope? It will always be the one with that deep, raging fire of purpose burning inside of him. And modern research actually confirms this ancient wisdom. A strong sense of purpose in life has been scientifically linked to greater resilience, better physical and mental health, and even increased longevity. It's almost as if knowing the why you're fighting empowers your mind, your body, and your spirit to endure almost any how. Machiavelli himself discovered that the men who achieve the greatest glory, the founders of nations, the pioneers of new religious or social orders, are remembered for centuries, precisely because they aimed for more than just their own personal gain. They aimed to reshape the world in some fundamental, lasting way. You'll notice that dominant leaders, the truly great ones, often speak of destiny or of their legacy. This isn't just a manipulation or an ego trip. They are aiming for a clarity of purpose so strong, so potent, that it actually becomes infectious. And their followers, they rally not just around the man himself, but around the powerful idea that he stands for. So, I have to ask you, and be honest with yourself, what is your purpose? What is that grander vision that can drive you through the inevitable storms of life? What legacy do you truly wish to leave behind when you're gone? When you align your personal pursuit of power with a higher, more meaningful purpose, something truly amazing, almost magical, happens. Your decisions gain a profound consistency. Your resolve hardens into unbreakable steel. You're no longer just playing a power game for your own benefit. You are on a sacred mission. And missions, my friend, inspire a form of loyalty and devotion that is far deeper and more enduring than fear or charisma alone can ever achieve. People will follow a leader who promises to take them somewhere meaningful to the very ends of the earth. In the end, purpose is the very soul of dominance. It civilizes it, it gives it meaning, and it can even make it noble. It is how you secure a legacy that echoes through time, the way an Alexander, a Caesar, or a Churchill is still spoken of long after they are gone. Dominance guided by purpose becomes destiny. I'm going to tell you something, and I need you to hear it. Really hear it. Life will knock you down. That's not a possibility. It's a certainty. It's not an if, it's a when. And understanding this leads us to the fifth sacred trait. And let me tell you, this might be the most defining one of all. It's possessing a never-quit mindset. The giants of history, those dominant men we keep talking about, they weren't immune to suffering or failure. Not at all. They were knocked down, and they were knocked down hard. They faced exile, defeat, catastrophic failure, public scandal, and bitter ridicule. You name the adversity, and I guarantee you they faced it. But here is the crucial difference, the absolute pivot upon which all of their destinies turned. They simply refused to stay down. There's a word for this spirit, grit. And it's funny, modern research is now backing up what instinct and history have always told us. Grit, that powerful combination of passion and perseverance for long-term goal scan, predicts success more accurately than raw talent or even a high IQ. The people who truly rise to the top, the ones who achieve any kind of lasting greatness, aren't those who never fell. That's a myth. They are those who fell 10 times and got back up 11. They learn, they adapt, and they relentlessly, stubbornly push forward when any lesser soul would have just thrown in the towel and walked away. Machiavelli, in his own way, he understood this perfectly. When he talks about fortuna, the unpredictable, often chaotic ups and downs of life, he also speaks of something he calls virtue. Now, this isn't just virtue in the moral sense. Virtue is that inner quality, that skill, that drive, that indomitable spirit that allows a man to fight against fortune, to seize opportunity from the jaws of chaos, and to impose his will upon the world. It is your absolute refusal to surrender to your circumstances. Think of a warrior on a battlefield, disarmed and on one knee, his vision blurred from exhaustion, with enemies closing in from all sides. A lesser man surrenders or begs for mercy. The dominant man, the man with virtue, he grasps for a weapon, any weapon, a rock, a broken branch, and forces himself back up to continue the fight. This is the attitude that you have to learn to carry into every single arena of your life. Did you lose your job? You don't wallow in defeat. You see it as a forced opportunity. You improve your skills, you expand your network, and you come back smarter, tougher, and stronger. Were you betrayed by someone you trusted? You don't let it shatter your spirit. You learn the painful lesson. You harden your heart where it needs to be hardened, and you keep moving forward with or without them. Has everyone around you told you that your dream is impossible? You smile to yourself, you take it on the chin, and you quietly, fiercely resolve that you will prove every single one of them wrong. Every great comeback story, every triumph over adversity that has ever been told, shares this one single, powerful trait. He didn't quit. This is so much less about raw physical strength and so much more about heart. It's about believing, on a soul-deep level, that your story isn't over until you win. And when other people see this unwavering resilience in you, it has a powerful, almost magnetic effect. It inspires them. Humans are naturally, instinctively drawn to those who demonstrate this kind of resilience and willpower, because on some level, it makes them believe that you might just have the strength and the spirit to pull off the impossible. On your path to dominance, expect the storms. Don't run from them. Embrace them. Because every single time you get back up, you prove to yourself and to everyone watching that you possess the iron will that is required to be truly great. I've learned that true dominance isn't measured by how many people you can command with force or fear. It's measured by something much more profound: how many people want to follow you willingly. This brings us to the sixth sacred weapon in your arsenal, and it's a game changer: leading by example. This is the quietest, yet it might just be the most powerful trait of every truly great leader, from generals and emperors to CEOs and community builders. It means you, personally, set the standard through your own actions. You become the living, breathing model of the behavior, the discipline, and the work ethic that you expect from others. You have to understand a fundamental law of human psychology. People watch their leaders far more closely than they ever listen to them. It's true. You can give the most rousing, eloquent speech in the world about sacrifice and dedication, but if you're not seen making those sacrifices and showing that dedication yourself, your words will hold no water. They just become empty, hollow air, and they breed nothing but cynicism and resentment. Dominant men, the ones who inspire real loyalty, understand that humans are wired to follow examples, not just commands. When the leader is the first one in the office and the last one to leave, the team just naturally pushes harder. When the commander on the battlefield shares the same meager rations and faces the same dangers as his soldiers, the troops complain less, and they fight with so much more heart. Leading by example creates this powerful ripple effect of loyalty and commitment. It builds a foundation of unshakable trust. People will see that you have skin in the game, that you're not asking them to do anything that you aren't willing to do yourself. They see that you're one of them. And with that trust comes willing obedience, a form of followership that is 1,000 times stronger and more resilient than anything that can be coerced or bought. Trust, once it's earned through action, multiplies your influence tenfold. History is just littered with the failures of rulers who lived in opulent luxury while demanding austerity and sacrifice from their people. That kind of hypocrisy always, inevitably, ignites resentment and revolt. But think about a man like Julius Caesar. His legions were fiercely, almost fanatically, loyal to him. Why? In large part, it's because he led from the front. He marched with his men, he slept on the hard ground with them, he knew their names, and he shared their hardships. That personal example inspired a kind of devotion that no amount of gold or threats could ever buy. Hypocrisy is the silent killer of authority. Integrity and consistency are what build it. Now, this path won't always be easy. Frankly, it's often exhausting. It means holding yourself to a higher standard, every single day, even on the days when you're tired, frustrated, or you feel like you've earned a break. But I'm telling you, down the line, there will be a profound payoff. It establishes an unshakable credibility. Those around you will know that you mean what you say, because they see with their own eyes that you live it. If you want your family, your team, or your community to follow your lead, you have to give them something undeniable to follow. Show them the discipline, show them the courage, show them the willingness to get your hands dirty, day after day. This is what will elevate you from being just another figure of authority to becoming a true figure of inspiration. And that, my friend, is the kind of dominance that truly lasts. At the very center of every dominant man I've ever known or studied, at the absolute core of his being, there lies a fire. And this brings us to the seventh and final sacred trait, unapologetic self-belief. This is the foundational energy. It's the bedrock upon which all the other traits are built. It's not as visible as your posture or as obvious as your strategy, but believe me, it is there. A silent, powerful engine driving absolutely everything. It's an unapologetic, unshakable confidence, the kind of profound faith in oneself that doesn't need to ask for permission or seek approval from the outside world. It's that quiet, unwavering inner voice that says, "I've got this," even when the entire world is screaming at you, "No, you don't." Strong men, sovereign souls, they do not apologize for dreaming big or for taking charge. They don't shrink themselves to make other people feel more comfortable. What they possess isn't arrogancy. Arrogance is loud and brittle. It's a mask for deep insecurity. What they have is conviction. It's a deep, quiet, and powerful knowing of their own worth and their own unique path. And the amazing thing is, real confidence of this magnitude tends to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. In the game of leadership and influence, I've seen it time and again. Confidence can often trump actual competence. People will instinctively follow the one who truly believes in himself. They are drawn to the man who knows where he's going, who believes so deeply in his own ability that it actually inspires belief in others. At some point in their journey, every trailblazer, every legend, every man who ever changed the world stood utterly and completely alone, with only their own self-belief to light the way. Think of a young general looking at a map, planning a campaign that all his advisors tell him is impossible, yet knowing in his gut that he can conquer where others have failed. Or think of a brash athlete declaring to the world that he will be the champion, when everyone else is laughing and doubting him. Think of an entrepreneur betting his entire life savings on an idea that all the so-called experts are calling crazy. They all face doubt, they all face laughter, and maybe even open hostility. And yet, they press on, not because they are 100% certain they will succeed, but because they are 100% certain that not trying is simply not an option for them. That, my friend, is self-belief in action. It's betting on yourself, over and over and over again, until you win. It also means you take complete and total ownership of your choices and your life. You trust yourself to figure things out. You're not waiting for someone to give you permission to act, or for someone else to take the lead. You step up, even if you're scared, and you do everything in your power to handle whatever comes your way. There's a quiet, immense power in that. Other people sense it. It gives them confidence in you, too. It's as if you're carrying a torch of certainty that lights the way, not only for yourself, but for those who choose to follow you. The men who truly mastered these 7 traits, they weren't just born knowing how. They struggled, they learned, and they made a conscious choice to embody these principles day after day. And these traits, in the wrong hands, they can certainly produce a tyrant just as easily as they can a hero. Machiavelli's lessons are, at their core, morally neutral. It's your inner compass, your purpose, that gives them their direction. Dominance itself isn't good or bad. It's a tool. It's a blazing fire that can either warm the world or burn it down. In a world that so often feels adrift and uncertain, the sight of a strong man with vision and integrity is like a beacon in the storm. And you can be that beacon. Cultivate a presence that inspires, a mind that strategizes, a heart that knows both compassion and steel. Hold fast to your purpose when the storms rage, and rise every single time you fall. Show others through your actions what you stand for, and carry within you that unbreakable belief that you have what it takes to shape your own destiny. Life is a kingdom, my friend, and you are its prince. Rule it wisely, be bold, seize it by the throat, and leave a lasting legacy.